Hi everyone, and thank you so much for coming today. My name is Bethany Obryan, and I believe that the future of medicine is rooted in the connections between human and animal health. This belief was shaped by my experiences throughout all of college and really initiated my capstone into what it is today, influencing health mindsets by connecting human and animal health. In order to understand where this title came from, we have to step back a few years. I decided to become a veterinarian the day I realized that I could not grow up and become a dog. That being said, by the time this picture was taken, I had already known what I was going to be for about 3 or 4 years. So by the time that I reached my first day here at the University of Minnesota, Rochester, I had already painted this wonderful picture in my head on exactly what my career was going to be and exactly how I was going to get there. And I can tell you right now, it included nothing about human health. Fortunately, my time here has really shown me that there's a lot more similarities than differences between our two medicines. In light of that realization, I decided to dive into that as my curiosity for my capstone and build the connections between these two fields. I had 3 learning outcomes for this semester. The first was to expand my knowledge in both human and animal health. The second was to apply this knowledge through a collaboration project with the Corey Hill Nature Center. And the third was to build my confidence in making connections between human and animal health. The first of these outcomes was expanding my knowledge. So I took some animal courses up on the Twin Cities campus, the first of which was a comparative physiology course, and the second an animal diversity lab. And then down here on the Rochester campus, I took a public health epidemiology course that was more focused on the human health. I saw immediate connections in my coursework. My favorite one was my second week of animal diversity lab, and we went down to visit the cows on the St. Paul campus. And we took a sample from the cow's stomach to study the bacteria that aid in the digestion and kind of live in the cow's gut. It reminded me of a project I did about a year ago here at the U of M, Rochester, in microbiology, where we were studying a zoonotic bacteria that can be found in humans but is most commonly found in the cow's stomach. And so even though these different projects were completely in different contexts and kind of separated in what we were really focusing on, at the root of it, it was the exact same bacteria. In addition to my coursework, I also started a position as a customer service representative with the Blue Pearl Emergency Veterinary Service in March. And even in my brief time there, I've already started to see connections between human health and animal health in a way that I didn't expect to originally see. Many cases that come into our clinic, and unfortunately with the loss of our patient. And this is unfortunately a norm in the environment that causes kind of a emotional detachment for the veterinary professionals. At UMR, I've learned the necessity in protecting my mental health while working in an intense health environment. And that's not a similar conversation that I've really been hearing in the veterinary world. And I see the potential and even the need for a connection between the two fields in order to kind of combat the kind of looking over that sort of part of the job. And both human health and animal health professionals share an above average mental illness rate. And so I plan to use the techniques that I've learned at UMR to protect my mental health, but I also am really looking forward to teaching others how to move past that. The second of my learning outcomes was the application of my knowledge and skills with a collaboration project with the Corey Hill Nature Center between them and then my directed research with Dr. Kelsey Metzger. I had the opportunity to create a poster that will be presented to the public through Corey Hill Nature Center on the local conservation and then the genetics of monarch butterflies. So they were fascinating species to study. There's a lot of unique genes in the species, including a sun compass trait that aids in their migration from North America down to Mexico. It really helps them keep track of where they're going. And then their conservation is also kind of a unique challenge. Butterflies, the monarch butterflies here that are found in the Midwest actually come from, their ancestors are from Texas. And so this unique challenge of how do we protect a species with such vast range of habitat but you need all of that habitat protected in order to ensure that the species is successful. This opportunity to focus on one particular species allowed me to kind of see those conservation strategies that I had been learning in the past year and a half of my directed research applied to just one species and kind of in this context of something local. My final outcome was building my confidence in connecting human and animal health. When I first started at UMR, I kind of saw the human side of medicine and the animal side of medicine separated by this glass wall. You could look between the wall, but you couldn't really build bridges or connections between the two fields. I felt that as though I needed to put my love and interest for animals on the sidelines in order to make sure that I was successful in focusing on the human health that I was learning here in class. However, I learned that there's a lot more opportunities for growth and personal development if I broke that glass wall and started to learn how to build those bridges. That idea also kind of was introduced to me through the concept of One Health. So One Health is the connection between humans and animals and their environment, specifically related to their medicines and health. And through that kind of experience and new perspective on what medicine is like, I now seek out diverse perspectives from my own instead of just learning from people who maybe have the same outlook or perception of medicine as me. Now I find that there's a lot more to learn if I take a step outside of my comfort zone and learn from somebody different. That being said, my definition of medicine has been completely redefined. No longer do I see these fields as completely separated, but as an opportunity to learn from one another and to make advances in medicine, solving old problems with new solutions as we work together. I will continue to learn, first through vet school. I'm excited to say that I am on the wait list for both the University of Minnesota College of Veterinary Medicine and Iowa State's University College of Veterinary Medicine. And once in vet school, I plan on focusing on zoo and wildlife medicine to a choice that my capstone, my internship with the Minnesota Zoo, and just my overall college experience has really prepared me for. And my capstone has also really prepared me for this point of reaching in my career, being able to build those connections and networking with individuals outside of my career or outside of veterinarians, and hopefully being a part of that movement to connecting the two seemingly unconnectable fields. So lastly, I just want to give a big thanks specifically to Anna for being a wonderful success coach and helping me keep my life on track. Dr. Metzger for being an amazing research advisor over the last 2 years and a faculty advisor this semester, and Yuko for all the amazing capstone advice. And thank you everybody who is here today in support of me and being able to support me over the past 3 years of my UMR career. I really appreciate it. Thank you again so much. Any questions? Thanks.
My question is, you referenced this sort of like finding this point where you needed to find, create some space for well-being in your own life while you were here at UMR. So I'm wondering if you would share with us what were some of the strategies you maybe employed in order to protect your own mental health while you were here.
Yeah. So when I started at UMR, I was very academic driven. Like everything needed to be about my academics, and all of my other interests were kind of just an addition to what I was doing with my academics. If I didn't have time for my academics, I didn't have time for anything else. But I've learned that there needs to be a balance in that because getting out and doing something that I enjoy, such as my agility with my dog, being a part of theater, either sometimes being participants or just at least going and seeing it, traveling, taking that time to kind of do something different outside of academics is really a big strategy for me in maintaining my mental health and that balance. And so, yeah, I've definitely moved a little bit forward since I started as a freshman and kind of being able to figure out where that balance exactly is. And I'll keep kind of fine-tuning that and making sure that I apply that from now on. Yeah.
Can you share some more learning moments that you've been having at the emergency vet clinic?
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing I've learned in the month and a half that I've been there is that there's actually a lot that I don't know. I felt that when I started, I was like, I've already applied for vet school. I'm already accepted as a waitlist student in 2 schools. And so what more is there, other than just fine-tuning a couple skills, what more is there for me to learn? And it turns out there's a lot more for me to learn. I have no idea how to take vitals. But making that progress and starting to understand the language, because there is a little bit different language between the science and the medicine that we talk about here on a frequent basis, and like how they use the same words, such as a catheter here, or that's different in vet medicine. That's just an IV in general, and so that's kind of one of those differences that seems minor, but when you start talking about it in a conversation, it's a little bit different. So yeah, it's been a really great learning opportunity for me, and again, there's going to be so much for me to learn. Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a couple different questions. I'll see if we get to them. So the first one is the idea of being unique at UMR from the very start. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of our students will come in and they're united by this common goal of where they see themselves, and that's a rallying point for them. But you knew you were different coming in, and I'm wondering how you navigated that, particularly in the first couple of semesters when it was clear
Right.
there was something different that you were striving for.
Yeah, it was difficult at first. When I was thinking about college, I was thinking about like having this wonderful opportunity for a community who wanted to go in the same field than I did. And although when I started as a freshman, I did not see those similarities when we were starting. I just saw how different I was, and that I'm the animal lover, and it seems like I'm the only one who wants to do that for a career. And so navigating through it, at first, I think my first initial thought was that maybe this isn't what I want to do. Maybe I need to pick something else just in case. And I did consider for a while tracking both pre-med and pre-vet. But as I started, I felt isolated, but then it was through seeing those connections and kind of opening my mind up to, these are my peers. There can't be this many differences between us. Maybe if I just kind of approach it from this idea of there's got to be something that we have in common. I can find more opportunities for that. And so I think it was more towards the end of my second semester into my third semester that I really started to investigate those ideas, and that's when I really started seeing those similarities. Honestly, I think the first one that hit me was I'm compassionate about my patients, and so are these people. I'm passionate about what I do. I have compassion for these animals, and they're no different. They just prefer humans over animals. So my favorite example for this question is this. There is a kind of it's more of a prototype at this point, but it is in use for animals, injection that goes along with chemotherapy that is treating melanoma in dogs. So golden retrievers are especially susceptible, I think most dogs in general, but the research was done on golden retrievers. They have spontaneous cancer just like humans. They're the best model. And veterinary medicine has actually developed an injectable treatment that is aiding in the success rates and kind of bringing up those success rates in a cancer that is very aggressive. And we're hoping, I think the research is now moving towards how can we bring that knowledge into the human side. And I think that would be a huge breakthrough.
Okay, I have one last question then. You spend a lot of time reading about conservation strategies and how when humans interfere, even when it's for good purposes, there can be unanticipated challenges or outcomes. And you've been an animal lover your whole life, and obviously you value the preservation of species and conservation efforts. Generally, you want to see them succeed.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, in your research and reading the literature and some of the different scenarios that were presented, what do you think was perhaps an unexpected challenge you wouldn't expect to come from conservation strategies, or just something that was new that you hadn't really thought about in conservation?
I think the information that I learned that kind of hit me the most was it's like an 11% success rate for captive breeding programs. And just based on like my previous experiences before that literature, just basically seeing the conservation strategies that are used in zoos, I fully expected that number to be a lot higher. I thought the intervention of humans would help bring that up, and that's what was necessary. And although I still think that the intervention of humans with conservation is completely necessary, it's obviously not in that route. Which does provide a unique challenge, because if you can't do breeding and bringing up that kind of reproduction success in the captivity, but you don't have a habitat for them in the wild, where do you put them? And so that's kind of one of those questions that's on the forefront of my mind, and why I want to go into zoo and wildlife medicine, and how do we make conservation more successful. But yeah, I think that was probably the most interesting thing I had learned in my research on those strategies. Thank you.